We are now on page 535, working with slicers. Slicers are a new feature in XL2010. And let's start at the top of page 536 here. We want to create a copy of the average sales per employee worksheet and locate the copy before the sales analysis figures worksheet. So let's take the average sales per employee, this worksheet here, and we're going to go to move or copy, and we want it before the sales analysis figures. So sales analysis figures, create a copy, click on OK. And okay, now we want to rename this, so double click on it, type the word slicers instead, apply the pivot style medium 13 to the pivot table. So let's go over here and go to design, and we want medium number 13, which should be this one. There we go. And number 4, set the column widths of B and C to 14, so select them both, right click and go to column width, and we're going to make those 14, which is barely going to be noticeable. And if necessary, wrap the text in B3 and C3. That's not necessary. They're already formatted the way they were on the other sheet. Set the font size in A2 to 12 point. And right now it's 13, so we're going to set it to 12. And if necessary, turn off the display of headers, field headers, and the plus or minus buttons. And let me see, that would be those are already turned off, so we're good on that. Okay, the bottom of page 536, to format the pivot chart. If necessary, choose the pivot table field list pane to provide more room to format the pivot chart. That's already closed. Apply start chart style 15 to the pivot chart to format the pivot chart. So let's select the chart here. We get our pivot chart tools up here, and that is under design, and we want chart style number 15. Let me see, is this 15? 14, 15. There we go, blue and gray. And if necessary, resize it so it fills D1 to D19. Looks like we lost a little bit of height here. Let's go back up there, and I think we're good now. Let's go to number 1 on page 537. If necessary, click to make the pivot chart active, so just click on it. Click Analyze on the ribbon. So let's go up here and on Pivot Chart Tools, choose Analyze, and click the Insert Slicer. And here we go. And we want to display the dialog box, which we have now. We're on the top of page 538. Click the State, Manager, and Location. So State, Manager, and Location checkboxes. Click OK, and it'll display the selected slicers on the worksheet. And now we're going to go to the top of page 539. And what we want to do now is we want to select the title bar of the state slicer. That would be right here. And we want to drag it to column E. Okay, there we go. And resize it so that the bottom of it is at the bottom of row 6. And maybe a little bit more. Okay. And then we want to drag the location slicer over next, and we're going to position that right below, and we're going to shorten that up. And we're going to take the manager slicer over here, and I'm going to shorten it up first so I don't have to do any scrolling, and then I'm going to drag it down, and there we go. So we are not quite exactly the same as his in the textbook. Mine go down a little bit further, but I want to be able to see all of them like he can, so I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, now select all three slicers. Click the first one, hold Control down, and click the second one, hold Control down, and click the third one, so all three of them are selected. And click the height text box. And what we want is we want 0.23, okay, and click the width, and we want the width to be 0.98, and click the width text box and set the slicer width to 1.17. And I think I did the wrong one here. Let's buttons should be 0.98, and slicer width should be 1.17, which it already is, so I think we're good. And now I can probably go here and deselect them, do one at a time now, and grab that one and pull it up a little bit. Select that and pull it up a little bit, because now I made everything a little bit smaller. And now take the bottom one here and get the four-headed arrow and drag it up, and then go to the bottom here and make that stop on row 19. So now we're good, and it looks almost exactly the same as it does in the book. Okay, now we're on number 2 on page 539. Select cell A20 to deselect everything, and click the state slicer, that would be this one, to select it. Click the More button. Let's go up here, and under our slicer styles gallery, click on More, which is the down arrow button, and we want now he's looking for one called Other. I do not have an Other group here, so we are going to pick something kind of gray like that. And which one is that? That is, oh, there it is, Other Style 1. Click on the down arrow again. Okay. And then we want to click the location and click on the down arrow over here. We want light 5. So light number 5 should be this one. And click on the down arrow and whoops, let me go down here and select Manager first. Manager selected. Now we want for that is we want dark 5, which should be this one. And now our sheet should look pretty much like the bottom of page 539. And now let's go to page 540. It says to click down here to deselect everything. And now hold down the Control key and click Arizona to remove Arizona from the state slicer. And click Mall and click that, and so we turned off Arizona with a control click. We turned them all on, and that turned street off. It says now click street, and if we do now, our spreadsheet should look like the bottom of page 540. If we click on Mall, it should look like the one at the top of page 540. Okay. And now we're on page 541, and on top of page 541, click the Clear Filter button on the state slicer, which would be right here. And that removes the filters, and it gives us all of the states now. Click Went Hold in the Manager slicer, and Okay, I need to turn off the filter on location too. I missed that part. Now click Went Old, and we should get 4 states over here. We should get them all underneath each one, and we should look like figure 891 on the top of page 541. And they've got a little experiment section at the bottom. You can do that on your own. Number 3 says to save the workbook, close the workbook, and click Excel. So we will save it. I'll do a Control W to close it, and that takes us to the end of Chapter 8.